Last question. I asked you to do this earlier, but I just want you to do it even more and go detailed. What do you predict will happen next in the future? You know, it's like you see it before it happens.
Kathy White's true killer is going to be unveiled, and it's not a man, and that woman died screaming.
Jaguar Wright just made another explosive claim, saying Diddy allegedly has recordings connected to Jay-Z, the kind of footage she believes could seriously damage reputations if it ever surfaced. She's also accusing Netflix of trying to get their hands on material she says belongs to her, not them. That's exactly why people are talking right now, and why this story keeps spreading fast across the internet.
Has anyone ever heard of Kathy White, Jay-Z's alleged mistress? Yes, let's talk about it. Miss Kathy White was a fitness and beauty expert, baby. She graduated from Howard University and she was the CEO of her own PR company. Now, she was rumored to be Jay-Z's mistress because one night in Las Vegas at Tao nightclub, she was seen with model Claudia Jordan sitting at Jay-Z's table with P. Diddy. It was rumored that the whole entourage was there to see a boxing match, but Beyonce was not in attendance, sweetheart. Just Claudia and Kathy.
You clicked on this video because you heard whispers about secret tapes, industry pressure, and Jay-Z possibly being caught in the middle of something much bigger. And yes, we're going to break it all down carefully, step by step, using only what's already being discussed publicly, so everything stays fair and clear. Here's what we're covering today. You'll hear what Jaguar claims these recordings involve, why 50 Cent noticeably avoided mentioning Jay-Z in his recent Netflix documentary, and the widely discussed story of Kathy White, a woman whose passing raised questions online due to timing and unanswered details.
White's life was taken unfairly. She actually died screaming, and the Carters are responsible. But one of them is just a little more responsible than the other. Question is, did Sean Carter delete his mistress, his pregnant mistress, because his wife was jealous? Or could it be possible that maybe his wife's temper is just a little worse than most people think, and maybe he just had to clean it up to protect the brands?
All of this is part of public conversation, not accusations, and we're sticking strictly to that. I know it sounds heavy already, but stay with me, because once you see how these stories line up, the bigger picture becomes impossible to ignore. By the end, you'll understand why people believe there's more going on behind the scenes than what's been shown publicly so far. Before we go any further, you need to understand 3 key points, because without this context, none of what follows will fully connect. First, 50 Cent recently released a 4-part documentary series on Netflix focused on Diddy, titled The Reckoning. It's everywhere right now, topping charts and sparking debates. But what caught people's attention isn't just what's included, it's who's barely mentioned at all. Jay-Z's name shows up almost nowhere. That's surprising to a lot of fans, considering Jay-Z and Diddy were often seen in the same spaces for years, attending the same events, moving through the same business circles, and shaping the culture together. So naturally, people started asking questions. Why leave him out? Was it intentional, strategic, or something else entirely? Hold on to that thought, because it matters later. Second, let's talk about Jaguar Wright.
Did he start snitching?
He better, but the only thing I'm interested in him talking about is everything he knows about Kathy Coriana White. See, I know you know what happened to Corey, Diddy. I know that. You and Jay-Z down in Vegas at Tao with Claudia. Why don't you just talk about Kathy? That might help. That might help a lot. Kathy Coriana White, Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died 24 hours after she announced that she was going public with their relationship and the baby.
If you're unfamiliar, she's a singer who spent years around the music industry and has been openly sharing her experiences for a long time. What makes people listen now is that many of her past statements about Diddy later matched stories that became public. Because of that, some listeners believe she might have insight others don't. Recently, she claimed Jay-Z could be next to face serious public scrutiny. Again, these are her words, not confirmed facts, but they've definitely sparked discussion. Third, there's the case of Kathy White. Many people hadn't heard her name until conversations resurfaced online. In 2011, she passed away just as she was reportedly preparing to speak publicly about her connection to Jay-Z. Online discussions point out that reports around her passing shifted over time, and eventually, the story faded from headlines altogether. That timing is what continues to raise eyebrows years later. Those are the three puzzle pieces everyone keeps talking about. Now let's connect them. And to do that, we have to look closer at Kathy White, because her story sits at the center of everything else being discussed. Kathy wasn't a random name. She was a Howard University graduate, ran her own PR company, and built a reputation as a fitness and beauty expert. By all accounts, she was ambitious, well-connected, and focused on building her future. Then in 2010, one night changed everything. Kathy was photographed at the Las Vegas nightclub Tao, seated at Jay-Z's table alongside Diddy and model Claudia Jordan. Beyoncé wasn't present, and those images immediately caught attention. The photos spread fast, blogs lit up, and people kept asking the same question over and over. Who is this woman? So the big question people kept asking was this: what exactly did Kathy White mean to Jay-Z? For years, there were industry rumors linking her to him, but nothing was ever officially confirmed. It stayed in that gray area of whispers, quiet conversations, and things people said off the record. When those nightclub photos surfaced, everything shifted fast. Blogs started calling Kathy nonstop, trying to get her side, chasing comments, looking for clarity. At first, she shut it all down completely. She told reporters she didn't know Jay-Z at all, saying she had never met him. But that explanation didn't hold up. Journalists came back with proof, saying, "We have photos of you sitting at his table." That's when Kathy's story changed. She reportedly said she was considering speaking publicly and might tell the truth about her connection to Jay-Z.
Documentary. Yeah, he was there for so much of it. Because right after the Diddler beat the crap out of Steve Stout, the Jigga Man poked up Rivera. Not long after that. All of this stuff happened around the same time.
Why do you think Jay-Z wasn't involved in none of this?
Well, I mean, he was involved in a lot of it. You mean, why wasn't he mentioned?
Yeah, mentioned in the documentary at all.
I mean, there was a lot of people that weren't mentioned. Matter of fact, not too many people in the industry were mentioned who were there and present. Isn't that cute?
Very true.
They found a way to tell that story while they kept everybody else clean.
Now this next part is where people online start raising eyebrows because the timing feels intense. According to reports, in late August of 2011, Kathy reached out to Jay-Z and shared that she was thinking about going public with her story. She was tired of staying silent and wanted to speak for herself. Then August 28th, 2011 hits. Beyoncé and Jay-Z announced at the MTV VMAs that they're expecting their first child, Blue Ivy. It was a massive moment, headlines everywhere, pure celebration, and the entire world watching. Just days later, in early September 2011, Kathy White passed away. She was only 28 years old. By all public accounts, she was healthy, active, and focused on her future. Then suddenly, she was gone, and questions started spreading online almost immediately. Here's where confusion sets in. Reports about her passing didn't line up. Some sources said Kathy called 911 herself from her Manhattan apartment on West 19th Street, saying she felt unwell.
Your thoughts as far as how they portrayed Kim Porter with this Reckoning documentary?
They didn't portray her at all.
Yeah, they didn't.
That's the thing. They didn't portray her at all. She was spoken for by Kalima. That was interesting to watch. You don't think? Kalima's testimony? She was probably the most pitiful witness they brought up to speak about all of this in the entire thing. Kalima?
Wait, why you say that? She was emotional. She was...
Emotional? That's what you call it?
That's what I'm trying to call it.
Capricorn Clark was emotional. I'll give her emotion. I'm sitting there looking at someone, in my opinion, who appears to be struggling with a substance issue, trying not to fall apart on camera. Meanwhile, nobody paying attention to the fact that she's sitting there afraid to really say anything at all because she's in the middle of a custody battle and she's trying to get her kids back. And she's got to be careful of whatever she says because it could make it impossible for her to get her kids back. Did nobody pay attention to that?
Yeah, no, she said she wanted $5,000 from Diddy.
She wanted $5,000 from her former bandmate and a billionaire. and he wouldn't even give her $5K to help her get her kids back? Why not? But then again, nobody's talking about who her husband is and who her husband is to Diddy. He's one of Diddy's #1 minions.
Oh yeah, no, that's news.
He's a loyalist. He is a Diddy doo-wop bop. Kalina's also bisexual, so I'm finding it kind of interesting that she didn't see anything, she wasn't around anything, she didn't know about anything, and this is not me putting anything crazy on her. This is exactly what she said when she was on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta with Stevie J, who was also not mentioned at all during this documentary. Because Stevie J was living at the Star Island house. Tell me something, how do you have all of that stuff about Little Rod and there's no Stevie J? Now, it was really interesting because there was some of the footage that Little Rod has shared with this documentary that he shared with nobody else that he did an interview with, and none of that made it into the trial. There's images of him with French Montana and the Diddler on the yacht.
Yeah.
But nothing of Stevie J, surgically removed.
Paramedics reportedly took her to Beth Israel Hospital, where she later passed. Other reports claim she was found unresponsive in her apartment instead. To make things even more unclear, early reporting mentioned blunt force trauma to the head, which naturally raised serious questions. Later, that explanation changed. A second report stated her passing was due to a brain aneurysm. No details were provided about the type, and no full autopsy or toxicology reports were ever made public. That lack of information is what keeps people talking years later. Then there's this. Within a short time after the photos of Kathy and Jay-Z circulated online, her social media pages disappeared completely. Every post, every trace, gone. People online point out that this doesn't usually happen automatically and requires someone to take action. That doesn't prove anything by itself, but it added to the mystery surrounding her story. And this is exactly where Jaguar Wright steps back into the conversation. Jaguar has been openly saying she believes Kathy White was treated unfairly and that her story never received proper transparency.
The sex workers that I have worked with throughout the years and continue to work with even to this day have worn hidden cameras. I have my own tapes. I've seen what they do, the ritualistic behaviors, the drugging, putting girls in the suitcases, dumping them in alleyways. It's horrifying. And it's all done under the protection of this is going to be paid off. There's another NDA. This is going to be, it's terrible.
It seems to have been something that a lot of people knew about, but people were simply too scared to talk about.
Everyone knows. And every person that's sitting there trying to act surprised knows very well.
She's made it clear she's no longer holding back her opinions, and she wants people to keep asking questions instead of letting the story fade away. Jaguar Wright takes things even further here. She openly says Kathy White died screaming, and then makes it clear these are her opinions, claiming the Carters were involved, while also saying one person may carry more responsibility than the other. She doesn't present proof, but she asks questions that immediately get people talking. Now pause for a second and think about what she's actually suggesting. Jaguar raises hypothetical scenarios, asking whether Jay-Z might have been forced into damage control during a moment of intense pressure, or whether Beyoncé's emotions during that time were stronger than the public ever realized. These are speculative questions, not confirmed facts, but they stirred serious online debate. Jaguar doesn't stop there.
Who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love.
She claims there was another powerful figure connected to everything happening behind the scenes, and that person is Diddy. According to her, Diddy allegedly holds recordings and video material that could explain a lot, and she believes those recordings have been used as leverage for years. In one video, Jaguar directly challenges Diddy, telling him to show the tape, claiming it might buy him time in the court of public opinion. Again, These are her statements, not proven evidence, but the implication alone shook the internet. If true, that would mean Diddy held serious influence over Jay-Z for a long time. That kind of leverage creates silence, hesitation, and strategic distance. Jaguar frames it as a power balance, where certain people can't move freely without consequences. She goes even further by saying Diddy knows details about Kathy White's passing. She claims he was present at the Tao nightclub in Las Vegas the same night Kathy was seen with Jay-Z, and insists he knows more than he's ever said publicly.
Want to know why there is no vindication for me? Because for 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That change is now shown.
She challenges him directly, urging him to speak if he wants clarity. That's a bold statement. Jaguar is essentially saying transparency could help everyone involved, including Diddy himself. Whether people believe her or not, those claims definitely reignited conversations that had gone quiet for years. Now there's another part of this story that's been heavily discussed online but never confirmed. Some people speculated that Kathy White may have been pregnant at the time of her passing. This has never been proven, and no official documentation was released to confirm it. People point back to the timeline. Beyoncé announced her pregnancy in late August 2011, and Kathy passed away just days later. Because no autopsy or medical details were made public, the truth remains unknown. Some individuals close to Kathy reportedly claim she was expecting, but again, that remains unverified. If those claims were ever true, it would explain why emotions and pressure behind the scenes may have been extremely high. But without official confirmation, it stays firmly in the realm of speculation. Then things get even more complicated.
It said it's trying to take down Diddy.
No, he's trying to move Diddy and Jay-Z out the way so he can run it. And the truth is, I ain't mad at him. I just don't trust him. Because the truth is, he would just be another kind of monster in another kind of way. He don't want things to change. He just want to be the one that's running it. See? Easiest thing to do is to take your enemy's feet and hold them to the fire for things you know that they won't admit. Which is why when that C&D came out, he took all of that Diddy shit down because of his tape.
Over the years, some internet users questioned whether Beyoncé carried her pregnancy herself or used a surrogate. This speculation largely came from a 2011 interview clip where her baby bump appeared to shift when she sat down. That clip went viral. Social media exploded with theories, slow-motion breakdowns, and debates. Even daytime talk shows discussed it publicly, bringing pregnant audience members on stage to compare how baby bumps move when sitting. Still, there has never been any proof confirming those rumors. Beyoncé has never acknowledged them, and Blue Ivy is publicly recognized as her child. The clip remains internet speculation, nothing more. All of this shows how rumors, timing, and unanswered questions can spiral into massive narratives online. And this is exactly why Jaguar Wright's claims continue to spark controversy years later, even without official confirmation. None of that was ever proven. And to be clear, I'm not saying Beyoncé definitely used a surrogate at all. But people online argue that if that were the case, it might explain why the pregnancy announcement was rolled out so loudly and so publicly at that exact moment. A massive headline like that would instantly shift attention away from any uncomfortable rumors floating around. Think about it. If Kathy White was considering speaking publicly, a global pregnancy announcement would dominate the news cycle. Suddenly, blogs aren't asking questions anymore. They're celebrating. The spotlight moves fast, and the narrative completely changes. And whether intentional or not, it worked. Almost overnight, conversations about Kathy White disappeared. The media focus locked in on Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and the pregnancy, while everything else faded into the background like it never happened. Now let's switch gears and talk about that Netflix documentary everyone keeps watching. It's 4 episodes long, trending everywhere, and sitting at #1. People can't stop talking about it, but if you watch closely, something feels off. The documentary walks through Diddy's entire career. Bad Boy Records, Biggie, Tupac, Cassie, the lawsuits, all of it gets screen time. But one name that's strangely missing from most of it is Jay-Z. That's wild when you really think about it. Jay-Z was present through so many of those same moments, same events, same rooms, same era, same industry power moves, yet he barely appears. Jaguar Wright claims there's a reason for that. She says several major industry figures were quietly kept out of the story, including Jay-Z, Stevie J, and Clive Davis. According to her, they were all deeply connected to Diddy's rise, but the documentary barely touches them. Take Clive Davis, for example. He reportedly owned 51% of Bad Boy Records, which would make him Diddy's boss. That's not minor. Yet he gets less than a minute of screen time in the entire series. Then there's Stevie J, one of Diddy's key producers. He was reportedly living at Diddy's Star Island home and present during major moments. Yet he's completely absent from the documentary. And Jay-Z? A rival, a collaborator, a peer, a powerhouse who built Roc Nation and moved alongside Diddy for years. He's almost invisible in the story. Jaguar says the documentary found a way to tell Diddy's story while keeping everyone else looking clean. It paints Diddy as the sole problem in hip-hop, like no one else played a role. And she doesn't believe that's an honest picture. Now let's talk about another major omission that keeps coming up. Kim Porter, Diddy's former partner and the mother of 3 of his children, passed away suddenly in 2018. The official cause was pneumonia. But even today, a lot of people online question that explanation. Her story barely gets mentioned, and for many viewers, that silence speaks just as loudly as anything else left out. For years, there's been talk online about a memoir Kim Porter was allegedly working on before she passed. People claim it was meant to be a tell-all about her life, her experiences, and her years connected to Diddy. That book was never released, and after her death, the subject quietly disappeared from the spotlight. What really stands out is how the Netflix documentary barely addresses Kim Porter's passing. She's mentioned, but there's no deep dive, no serious discussion, and no real effort to explore unanswered questions that fans have been asking for years. Then there's Stevie J. By many accounts, he was one of Diddy's closest associates and was living at Diddy's Star Island home in Miami during major moments. Yet in the documentary, he's almost completely erased. Viewers see footage of other artists at the house, including scenes on Diddy's yacht, but Stevie J is noticeably absent. Jaguar Wright points this out and says the omission feels intentional, not accidental. Jaguar also highlights how the documentary interviews Dawn from Danity Kane, who openly speaks about negative experiences she says she had working under Diddy. But then they also interview another group member, Kalina, who is married to Stevie J. Kalina says she didn't witness anything troubling and wasn't around when anything inappropriate happened. Jaguar says that explanation doesn't add up. According to her, both Kalina and Stevie J were present during those years and would have had first-hand knowledge of the environment. Yet the documentary lets that contradiction slide. Jaguar questions why certain people are pressed hard with questions while others are handled gently. She suggests that digging deeper into Stevie J would naturally lead to uncomfortable conversations about who else he worked closely with. And in her view, that trail circles back to Jay-Z. Now here's where Jaguar's claims take an even more controversial turn. She says she personally possesses recordings she believes document inappropriate behavior involving powerful industry figures. According to her, these recordings were collected over many years by individuals who wanted proof of what they experienced. She claims she has seen footage that shows disturbing behavior at private industry events. To be very clear, these are her allegations, not proven facts, and no such material has been verified publicly. Jaguar says situations like this were kept quiet through legal agreements, settlements, and strict non-disclosure contracts. She claims this culture of silence allowed rumors to circulate without ever being addressed openly. According to her, many people in the industry were aware of questionable behavior long before it ever reached the public. She argues that the shock people are showing now feels performative, because insiders already knew what was happening behind closed doors. Jaguar even names Clive Davis directly. She claims Diddy didn't operate alone and was influenced by powerful mentors early in his career. She argues that if Clive Davis played a major role in building Bad Boy Records, then he would have had insight into how things functioned. That idea changes how people view the entire situation, because if leadership set the tone from the top, then responsibility wouldn't stop with just one person. And that's why Jaguar insists this story is much bigger than what any single documentary is willing to show. But here's the part almost nobody wants to talk about. Clive Davis barely gets mentioned at all, and Jaguar Wright says that silence isn't accidental. She believes the spotlight is being pointed in very specific directions for a reason. Jaguar makes one of her boldest claims yet, and while it sounds shocking at first, she says it starts to make sense once you look at the history. According to her, Jay-Z may be quietly setting Diddy up to fall. Before you dismiss that, she lays out her reasoning very clearly. Jaguar claims Jay-Z has a long pattern of distancing himself from people once they stop being useful or become obstacles. Her first example is Dame Dash. Jay-Z and Dame built Rockefeller Records together from the ground up. They were partners, equals, and inseparable for years. But when Jay-Z wanted to move differently, Dame was pushed out. Jay-Z kept the brand, the power, and the artists, while Dame was left behind financially and professionally. Jaguar says that wasn't random, it was strategic. Next, she brings up Big L, a legendary Harlem rapper who came up in the same circles as Jay-Z. Some fans still argue Big L's talent rivaled or even surpassed Jay-Z's. Big L was tragically killed in 1999, and the case was never solved. Jaguar doesn't claim facts, but she says the silence around it has always felt uncomfortable. Then there's DeHaven, another close friend from Jay-Z's early days. DeHaven went to prison, and when he got out, Jaguar says Jay-Z completely cut ties. No support, no reconnecting, nothing. To her, the pattern feels consistent. In Jaguar's view, Jay-Z removes obstacles quietly and keeps moving forward. That's her interpretation. Not proven evidence, but it's the lens she uses to explain what comes next. This is where things get even darker. Jaguar suggests Jay-Z may have played a role in events surrounding Aaliyah's tragic plane crash in 2001. To be clear, this is her theory, not a confirmed claim. She says Jay-Z was interested in Aaliyah, but she was with Dame Dash at the time. After Aaliyah's passing, Beyoncé's career skyrocketed. She became the biggest female artist in the world. Jaguar questions whether that shift was coincidence or timing, but again, there is no proof backing this theory. She argues that if Jay-Z truly has a pattern of clearing the path ahead, then Diddy becomes the biggest obstacle of all. In her view, Diddy knows too much. He's been there, seen too much, and allegedly holds damaging information. Jaguar claims Diddy knows details about Kathy White, about private industry moments, and about things that could hurt powerful people if ever revealed. So instead of direct conflict, she believes Jay-Z works behind the scenes. Her theory is that letting the system close in on Diddy solves multiple problems at once. If Diddy goes down, the leverage disappears, the tapes vanish, and the risk fades away. Again, this is her interpretation, not verified fact. Then Jaguar points to a moment she says proves how much power Jay-Z truly has. She appeared on Piers Morgan's show, a massive platform watched by millions worldwide. During that interview, Jaguar openly called Jay-Z and Diddy monsters, live on television. She didn't soften her words or walk anything back. She said the industry had protected them for years. The interview aired, clips spread fast, and people started sharing it everywhere. Then suddenly, within about 24 hours, the interview disappeared, removed, deleted, wiped from public access. Jaguar says that takedown wasn't random either. To her, it showed just how quickly powerful forces can move when certain names are spoken too loudly. And that's why she believes none of this is happening by accident. Think about the level of power it takes to make something like that disappear. A major network, a famous journalist, a public interview, all wiped out in under a day. That doesn't happen by accident. That's influence, pressure, and protection working fast behind the scenes. Jaguar says that kind of control shows just how insulated certain people are. In her view, it proves some names are protected at the highest levels, where narratives can be adjusted and conversations can be shut down before they spread too far. Now let's talk about 50 Cent, because Jaguar has a very different read on his Netflix documentary. Most people believe 50 created it to expose Diddy and support alleged victims. That's what he said publicly, and that's how it's being marketed. But Jaguar doesn't buy that explanation at all. She claims 50 isn't acting out of goodwill, but strategy. In her opinion, he's positioning himself to outlast both Diddy and Jay-Z in the business game. Think about the landscape right now. In hip-hop business power, the three biggest names people talk about are Jay-Z, Diddy, and 50 Cent. Jaguar argues that if Diddy falls and Jay-Z gets caught up in controversy, only one major figure remains. She goes even further, saying she doesn't believe 50 wants to change the industry. She thinks he just wants to be the one in control of it. And she makes it clear she isn't intimidated by him either. Jaguar calls 50 out directly, claiming she knows about environmental issues connected to his Millennium Studios property in Shreveport, Louisiana. She alleges harmful waste was dumped nearby for profit, affecting the local community. To be clear, these are her claims, not verified findings. She even says she sent someone to confront him about it. Whether people agree or not, one thing is clear: Jaguar doesn't pick sides. She goes after everyone she believes holds power. Now let's bring all of this together, because this story has a lot of moving parts. Jaguar claims Diddy has damaging material involving Jay-Z. We don't know what's on it, and nothing has been proven. But she believes it's serious enough to keep people quiet for years. Kathy White was reportedly preparing to speak publicly. Days later, she passed away. Conflicting reports, unanswered questions, and disappearing online traces only added to the mystery, and then the conversation just stopped. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think could be on those alleged tapes? Why do you think this story keeps resurfacing after so many years? And do you believe Jaguar Wright's version of events? Or do you think she's connecting dots that don't belong together? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it respectfully, because this conversation clearly isn't finished yet. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. This is ScarFame, and I'll see you on the next one.